After thorough testing, I recently changed my everyday OC spray to Palm Personal Defense Spray. It's nasty stuff and I recommend it highly. Hey everybody, welcome again to Active Self Protection Extra, back again with Chuck Rossi. And you heard last time, we met when he was a engineering director at Facebook. And now though, you're in a new project, Open Source Defense. Why don't you tell us about this? I'm really excited. I've shared a couple articles that you guys have done and they're fantastic stuff. So tell us what you're doing.
Sure. When I left Facebook, I think it was back around November 2018, after about 11 years, I kind of semi-retired and it's very frustrating to do. So I looked for something to do and I got hooked up with a group of folks who were coming from a similar background from me, but also different, geographically different in the country, different areas. But we all had the same kind of attitude towards firearms, Second Amendment. Yep. And we were all very versed in, if you want to call it, blue state politics, right? So we were living in coastal areas.
You being from the People's Republic of California.
Yeah, I've never lived in a free state. I was raised in Bronx, New York, and Yonkers and Westchester, and that's traditionally New York City influence and all that. And then I moved from there to San Francisco Bay Area, California. So I've never lived anywhere with really true freedom.
For those of you, if you don't know on the channel, I was born and raised in the Bay Area. So born and raised in the East Bay.
Yeah. So it's a tough haul.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn, you kind of see. I haven't really changed my way of thinking, but you see how the other half thinks.
Yep.
And what's important to them. And I was always frustrated by the messaging that they were getting about guns and firearms and Second Amendment was garbage, man.
Yeah,
it was so bad. And in this time, I've been doing this kind of pro 2A stuff since the 80s, literally, and since college. And I've never seen so much, I gotta call it propaganda. It's like the bias and the laziness in understanding what the actual causes of things are, and the stuff that comes out in papers like the quote-unquote gun violence epidemic.
Well, an outrage culture we live in.
Right, and so we kind of landed in this outrage culture world where outrage drives clicks make money, and if I can say something more outrageous, the better, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where the Second Amendment debate is happening, and it's horrible. People just like smashing their heads together and red versus blue, and I've been in those fights. I've had those fights on Facebook, mega threads in my personal page and other pages. And man, it's frustrating. I don't feel like it's getting anything done.
Yeah, I agree.
So we found some guys who get everything I just said, and we all co-founded this group called Open Source Defense. So opensourcedefense.org was our 100% culture war free, all about gun rights, 100% gun rights, zero culture war. To go and
this is near and dear to my heart, Chuck, because this is a big deal to me. I think the Second Amendment is a civil right.
Yeah.
But it's wagon hitched to a lot of other issues. Now listen, I have beliefs on all those other issues.
Big time.
You do too.
Yeah.
Everybody does. But I don't want my Second Amendment for somebody to say, wait a minute, I disagree with you about something else.
Right.
Pick the issue, right? I disagree with you about abortion rights, and so I can't agree with you on Second Amendment stuff.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. We can unhook those two. Let's
Absolutely.
agree on this one, even if we disagree on this other one.
Right.
And so I love the tagline: 100% gun rights, 0% culture war.
Exactly. And that's resonated certainly hugely with the gun people we've talked to, and we've been on podcasts, and we have our articles, and we've talked to people here at SHOT Show. We've not got one piece of negative feedback as far as like, oh no, that's not the right way. It's incredible. We were not talking to the right people, but
well, I think you guys have hit on the thing that is the coming groundswell that I think, and not to put too fine a point on it, but there's maybe some other large organizations that have gone all in on the culture
exactly,
war.
and that's kind of what kicked us off, or a good impetus for why we wanted to be like, that messaging I've been hearing since I was literally 16 in 1980 whatever, right?
Yeah.
And like I got it then, it kind of made a good talking point then. Hasn't changed in 40 years. I'm like, I think we need to evolve here.
Right.
So that was kind of the job there, and so we produce content. We have kind of we're small but mighty at this point. Always looking for more signal boosting, and you've done some of that for us. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Facebook page, I've shared several articles.
And we produce articles. We have some solid writers. We have BJ Campbell, who a lot of people are going to know from his work on Medium.com. He's probably the only pro-gun voice on Medium that has like serious traction. If you look up on Medium, there's like a gun control tab. There's the the crap that they put forward, which is 100% culture war madness, and then the organic stuff that people actually click. And his articles are like the top 2 or 3.
And I love them because they're data driven.
They're not perfect.
It's not like, there's very to know ideology in it.
Exactly.
It's simply here are the numbers.
Exactly.
And here's why this is the wrong case.
But it's not a numbers game. Yeah, the numbers are there, but he doesn't. He's a good writer in that he doesn't put it in a way that I've read articles with statistics and I want to kill myself. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I kind of follow here. He's able to work it in a way that's much more accessible. I find. Look for yourself and share that stuff and see if people are more convinced, because it's a more entertaining read to read his stuff. And the data's there and obvious, but it's not like pedantic, right? So we have that content. I wrote a nice article about like surviving, social media with firearms content. There's that's up there as well. And other things about race and gun control and about race and violence, and that are actually quite well thought out and well done.
To me, they're great resources, because when I talk to my friends who aren't Second Amendment supporters, a lot of times what happens is they get hit with the culture war stuff, and again they can't accept it, right? It doesn't penetrate. But when I can give them resources that say this is a well thought out argument that at least give you food for thought, and it's respectful,
yes,
and it's thoughtful and it's good, that opens dialogues, and that actually makes some change in folks.
Absolutely, and it's in an ecosystem that again, there's nothing on our site. There's no ads that are going to be like. Even an ad can put somebody off. There's other websites that you sometimes run a good piece that you could send to a blue friend or an anti-gun friend and say like, hey, check this out. But there'll be like a massive pro-Trump MAGA thing on the side or something, right? And it kind of derails the message. So we've had good luck with that. We have those kind of more long-form pieces that are great for internet arguments. Like if you really want to go back and say like, well, I actually have a really good argument for that, or just steal our stuff, just copy and paste it. Say it's yours, right? Say I wrote this, and that's great. That's fine.
Plagiarism, no, don't do that.
Not exactly that, but take what you link to us, whatever can help. The other thing we have is Kareem, our buddy, does a newsletter. So every week we want something fresh to say like, hey, here's what's happening. Here's a lot of good neutral content in the gun space that you never would have found from your New York Times, your Washington Post, your Vice, and your Trace, and all these places. They're not going to cover this, and we find those things that
aggregate them.
We aggregate them and put that out weekly, so you have something kind of to keep us in mind and to have a nice kind of positive feed, if you will, for this space, a helpful feed. Yeah.
I know you guys are doing a Supreme Court tracker.
We had our own for a while. Now we're leveraging. There's another good one I think we found it on Twitter. Uses basically this kind of database back end that has a nice front end that shows you the timeline of I think it's even federal cases and Supreme Court cases as they move through.
Nice.
And that's good because we all need to keep up with what's happening there. And that's an easy way to do it. So yeah, that's kind of the framework for the thing. And just one more thing on the goals of what we're after here.
Yeah, please.
We kind of put it this way: you can either be popular or a majority, and if you're unpopular or a minority, you're gonna lose, right?
It's truth.
So we either have to be more popular or more approachable, or we need to be a majority, right? And that's ultimately what we want. We want more gun owners, right? We don't want Glock selling me my 5th Glock. We want them selling you
buy
your
my 5th one,
your
but
first
I want,
Glock, right? I got first, 6, but it's much more effective if they're
more people are
selling their first Glock, right? So we're big proponents of like the NSSF +1 movement, right? Where take someone shooting. I've done that literally thousands of people. I've taken. I'm an NRA certified instructor, and I've instructed plenty of places and for beginners. And I'm not going to teach tactics and all that stuff, but for beginner. People who've never seen a gun in real life, never touched a gun in real life, come from other cultures. Bay Area is obviously full of people from all over the world. They don't have these freedoms, and I'm happy to take them to the range and give them that first taste in a safe, controlled environment. And almost to 100%, they're just like, this is for me. I like this.
This is great. This is so fun.
Right. And then the other is to make us more popular, right? To kind of combat the constant negativity and the our articles help change the mindset, so we are more popular, and the gun space is more popular versus the avalanche of negativity that comes from the popular media.
So I feel like it's a respectful source. It is a source that is not shrill and is very helpful. So again, opensourcedefense.org.
Right.
And sign up for the email list, guys. The weekly email list is really, really good. And share the articles. I think they can help you not only refine your own understanding, but also help the people who will be dialogued with, and do so in a way you say, of course, if you go, "Hi, you're wrong, you suck, and I hate you," and you drop a link on them, then that's not going to help because you've ruined the tone. But if instead you go, "Hey, here's a thought for you on this. I don't know that you're seeing that the right way. Here's an argument that I'd encourage you to read, and let's talk about it." And then if you can do that with your friend over a cup of coffee,
Yep.
or and go, "Hey man, let's go to the range and we'll talk about it," whatever.
Exactly.
You can make a way. So Chuck, thanks for making this resource. I think it's really important for us.
Yeah, I hope it's successful. I really hope you thank you for your support of it, for all your viewers,
Yeah.
and for you. We really appreciate it.
All right, so that means every single one of us has to go and sign up for their email news list. And if we do that, like they add 90,000 people to their email subscriptions this week, then maybe Chuck will buy me dinner.
That sounds like a plan.
Go.